So we live in a world where technology is being brought into the home, but actually there's another field where people are taking technology elsewhere. And Google Arts and Culture is working on enhancing your experiences of where you go to experience and see art, museums. Please welcome Suhair Khan from Google Arts and Culture.
Hi, everyone. Very exciting to be here. So before I get started, I just wanted to get a sense of how many people here have actually heard of Google Arts and Culture, just to get a show of hands. OK, not a bad thing. We've been actually quite present in Austria for a number of years, working with a lot of important cultural institutions. So I'm happy to hear that people know about us on the platform. And I've had a great set of meetings the last couple of days with a lot of the museums here. So just to give background to people who don't know what Google Arts and Culture is, we were founded in 2011. As part of a 20% project. So 20% projects are side projects at Google where you can kind of get together with a couple of colleagues and think about solving a solution that no one is actually yet working on. So a group of Googlers got together and decided that they felt that there wasn't enough high-quality art and cultural content online at all. This is before selfies on various social media platforms, and there just wasn't enough content. Paintings had watermarks on them, they were really blurry, and there wasn't really a way of exploring the collections of museums using their content and using the highest resolution imagery. So that's how the platform came together. So my laptop is here because I'm going to do a few demos live to show you the platform, so please bear with me if things don't work. So the mission of Google Arts and Culture is making the world's cultural information accessible to anyone, anywhere around the world, playing off of Google's mission, which is making information available to users around the world. We have, I'm going to give you a video, actually, so you can actually get a sense of what the platform is, and then I'm going to talk a little bit more about it.
Inspiration is spread around the globe, across space and time, in the places we love, and with the people of our past. Art has changed the way we see the world and the way we see each other. We started with simple tools for food and fire, and then carved statues of myths and heroes. And we built monuments to last forever. There is so much to see, learn, and experience. With the Google Arts and Culture app, you can immerse yourself in 360-degree views using Google Cardboard, or zoom in to reveal the secrets of a masterpiece. Discover inspirational moments, iconic people, and artistic wonders. Search by time or even color. Save your favorites and share them with the world. Explore more with Google Arts and Culture. Download the app and get inspired every day. Where will you start?
So I want to show you a lot of stuff, and I'm going to move quickly, but I think it's worth it so you get a sense of a scope of what we do. So really, this is an online platform. It is hopefully the richest possible digital experience you can have of culture and art online, and it's obviously multi-platform. We are now integrated into Google Search, so if you search for Starry Night on the internet, you see that you actually come up to the Museum of Modern Art's page on Google Arts and Culture. This is the highest resolution version of Starry Night. Obviously, everyone here has seen this artwork. But you get to explore the painting in incredible detail. And also, you really get to learn directly from the museum and its curators the story of this artwork, as well as museum-level metadata quality. So that is actually a way that people are able to come to this platform very easily to explore the collections of museums. We have embedded a lot of machine learning algorithms into the platform now, so you can engage by color, by time, and really kind of explore things in a way that's quite fun and immersive. How do we do this? We obviously care about data, like everyone here, so we spend a lot of time thinking about which platforms people are accessing the content from, how they're coming to the stories of these institutions. It's obviously growing and changing all of the time, but we're really proud to be working with institutions all over the world. We now work with partners in 70 different countries around the world. These are all not-for-profit institutions. We ourselves are not-for-profit. We don't monetize the platform at all. There's no advertising on the platform, and we're still continuing to grow. We've done a lot of work in Austria, as you can see. We have 16 partners and growing, and we've done a lot of really fun, immersive experiences, and we have a few really exciting projects planned for next year, which you will be hearing about soon. So around the world, we're now at almost 2,000 partners. We started off with only art museums. 17 of the world's art museums came together to launch the Google Art Project, including the Met in New York, the MoMA, the National Gallery, and the Tate. And since then, we've really expanded the definition of culture with the institutions that we work with. So you see, we worked with historical archives, and we launched what we call a history project. We did a big push in the performing arts a few years ago, which is when we started embedding a lot more VR content into the platform. And now we've actually done unusual collaborations in the world of natural history museums, science museums, a fashion retrospective, which I'm going to show you, and finally, the space of cultural preservation and looking at culture that is under threat around the world today. So I'm going to show you brief clips of a few videos so you can get a sense of what the tone is of some of this content. This is our natural history project. So what you see here is actually a VR experience. Cut it off. But we did a lot of VR experience. We did Google Expeditions, which is educational VR for kids. And we work with curators and scientists at 65 natural history museums around the world to bring their stories and collections together for the very first time online in one single platform, but also to add a layer of immersiveness using VR and using other interactive experiences online to really create a different type of experience for visitors to the collections of these institutions. This is a fashion project. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about this and do a bit of a demo of the page so you get a sense of what the content is like. This was with almost 200 institutions from around the world, everyone from the Kyoto Costume Institute to the V&A to the Met in New York. We actually launched this with Anna Wintour in New York, and the idea was really, can we create a very different experience of fashion and show fashion as culture and heritage? So I'll show you this video because it's a different tone, and I'll give you a sense of the content. So this is the platform, and this is what it looks like. It was called We Wear Culture, so the idea is that fashion is actually more than just something that you look at and touch. This is what the page looks like. So you see we have it divided into chapters, and as you enter any one of these chapters, you can actually explore the collections of different institutions around the world. This is Icons, which actually was the most popular set of chapters. And here you see online stories and exhibits from cultural institutions sitting together for the first time. So you have the Met sitting next to the Japan Fashion and Lifestyle Institute, next to the Ferragamo Foundation. So it's a very different way of having the experience of seeing the collections of institutions in a way that hasn't been done before. We did a collaboration with a YouTube creator with a large following to add a more accessible link to different ideas in fashion. And we actually worked with lots of key opinion formers to give editorial features that really expanded on the collections of users. There's a lot of fun machine learning. You see, you can actually play with the entire collection. There's about 30,000 assets brought online for the first time as part of this project. And it's a way of some serendipity. You click on this, and suddenly that's the National Heritage Board of Singapore, and suddenly you're learning about a piece of culture and heritage that you wouldn't have actually seen otherwise. And really, that's part of our goal, is creating serendipity, creating immersive experiences. So if you care about fashion, you explore fashion. And if you just want to learn a little bit more about a particular institution, you can do that too. We did a number of VR films. These all work on cardboard. We want them to be accessible as possible. I'm going to do a little demo for you so you can see it. Obviously, this is not the best version of the experience. But this is with the curator of fashion at the Vienna.
Humans go to extraordinary lengths to refashion their bodies. We exaggerate, suppress, sculpt, and lift to conform to aesthetic ideals. The corset, an integral piece of underwear for women between the 16th and 20th centuries, is just one example of how we've achieved these ideals. The corset is most commonly associated with minimizing the waist. Because of this influence on a woman's body, it's one of the most controversial garments in the history of fashion. So why are we still wearing them? Before we find out, let me introduce myself. I'm Sonnet Stanfill, Senior Curator of Fashion at London's Victoria.
So you see, there's a lot of content that kind of goes down that path on the platform. And it goes on and on and on. There's hundreds of stories. There's lots of high-resolution image captures of clothes. And there's also Street View. So this is an example of the Street View captures that we do in cultural institutions. This is Versailles. I'm sure many of you have actually been to Versailles. So you can see, you can actually walk around the halls using Street View, but you can also go to a particular painting as you scroll along the bottom and actually see it as it looks in real life. And if you want to learn more about it, you can actually click here. And suddenly you have a whole story behind a particular artwork in a way that you wouldn't have otherwise, with videos from the curators. So it's a very immersive way of experiencing a building. And of course, it's not the same as going, but it adds a layer for learning and for education in a way that wasn't possible. So I'm going to move on quickly. This is our most recent project. I'm going to show you this video because this is looking at sites which are destroyed. We have about 28 sites around the world that we documented with an organization called SciArc. These are all under threat from things like environmental degradation, tourism, but obviously war, destruction. We have sites from Lebanon, from Damascus in Syria, and also the temple complex of Bagan in Myanmar, which was destroyed in 2016, but was captured before an earthquake using laser scanning and photogrammetry. So you can actually have an amazing, there's a VR experience online, and there's also tons and tons of 3D models that users have been exploring and downloading. I'm going to forget to say this, so everyone should download the app so you can actually see these yourselves. So a lot more projects on different themes, but I have very little time left, so I'm going to go forward. So we come in, we digitize. We've captured actually the ceiling of the Berg Theater in really high-resolution imagery. So those of you who live here will know this is probably about 70 to 80 meters off the ground, and we've captured this using high-res photography, so you can really zoom in and see the details of the artwork in a way that you couldn't if you were actually there. And we capture street view imagery, obviously, inside museums. And we have an online content management system that people can come and explore and also use to share their collections online. But for the purposes of this audience, just very quickly, we also have a lab in Paris where we bring tech interventions to the art world. We work directly with artists. We work with cultural institutions where we think about how we can apply things like machine learning or work on technologies like AR, VR, and bring them to make culture more accessible and different. I'm not going to show you this video because I don't have time, but I encourage you to look at it. We work with the fashion designer Paul Smith to think about how we can use machine learning to bring color palettes of artworks online to help with things like mood boards and creative conception in worlds like fashion and advertising. So you take your phone, you take a picture of your blue jeans there, and it'll show up all of the paintings. There's 7 million paintings in our collection, all of the paintings that match that color palette, and you have a chance of exploring paintings and artworks that you wouldn't be able to do otherwise. So check it out after this. We've done a lot of augmented reality. Here you can see we recreated Palmyra in Syria, and we had an exhibition at the Grand Palais where people could actually obviously use their phone and explore the site at various stages of destruction and have a very immersive experience with something that tragically actually doesn't exist anymore. And there's tons of machine learning experiments online, so I encourage you to look at those. We have an artist in residency program where we work with important directors in the art world, such as Hans-Ulrich Obrist, to actually create interventions with artists who come in from different countries to use our technologies, things like Google Tilt Brush, which is painting in VR, things like machine learning to create their own artistic experiments and actually sometimes even final pieces in a way that they wouldn't have access to otherwise. I'm going to show you a really quick link to this. There's going to be an ad because this is TED, but I'm going to actually end on this.
This object you see behind me is the Venus of Barakat Ram. It's one of the oldest objects in the world, around 233,000 years ago, found in the Golan Heights and currently residing at the Israel Museum in Jerusalem. It is also one of the oldest objects on our platform. So let's assume we start from this one object. And what if we zoomed out and actually tried to experience our own cultural Big Bang? What might that look like? This is what we deal with on a daily basis at the Cultural Institute. Over 6 million cultural artifacts curated and given to us by institutions to actually make these connections. You can travel through time. You can understand more about our society through these. We can obviously, look at it from the perspective of our planet and try to see how it might look without borders if we just organize art and culture. We can also then plot it by time, which obviously, for the data geek in me is very fascinating, and you can spend hours looking at every decade and the contributions in that decade and in those years for art, history, and cultures. We would love to spend hours showing you each and every decade, but we don't have the time right now. So you can...
I also don't have the time right now, but I encourage you to look at it. And the last thing I should say is that we actually invented Google Cardboard. At the lab in Paris, that's Damien, he's our chief innovator, and he was eating pizza one night, and he made the Google Cardboard come to life. And the product that has come of it that we think has the most value is Google Expeditions. And I promise this is the last thing I'm going to show.
To go to the moon, Thailand, ancient Greece,
India, to Nigeria, my homeland.
One or maybe all of the 7 wonders of the world. When you explore different places, you have the chance to actually learn something new.
You want to be able to show the kids that there's something outside of your community that you could go to and learn from, and that there's other places you can visit.
All right, so let's do our objective, and we'll talk about the lesson for today.
We're going to take a field trip to Verona, Italy, to see the place where Romeo and Juliet lived.
I'm going to take you on this field trip under the water. Okay, you guys ready? Pick up your devices
and look in your cardboard.
What is that? I see a shark.
Whoa!
It allowed us to go somewhere we wouldn't normally be able to go.
Are we in China?
This is the Great Wall of China.
We got to see the place itself, so we could actually understand what she was talking about.
How long would it take to walk the length of the Great Wall of China? So much more enriching than just showing them a picture or just having them read about it.
This device can actually make us go to places that we've never been before.
It brings the lesson to you.
You have to see it for yourself to believe it.
There's so much other places to see, so you know that it's never going to end.
Okay, that's it from me. Thank you very much.
This is such a cool story. Google is teaming up
All right.
with hundreds of schools.
Very interesting stuff, Suhair. Very interesting indeed. So we have time for one question from the audience. So from Slido, it is Angeliki asks, is the content of Google Arts and Culture open source? Can you use the high-resolution artworks for commercial purposes?
So no. The only thing that's been made open source is the SciArt collection, because that was a choice of the institution. Everything on this platform belongs to the museums or cultural institutions, even when we digitize their content, and it cannot be used by anyone except the museum. So if we take a high-res image of Starry Night, the MoMA can do what they like. They can make postcards, but we actually don't own it. It belongs to them.
All right, okay, fair enough. So thank you so much. It's fascinating work you're doing. Another round of applause for Suhair.
Thank you. Thank you.